Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video I'm going to be doing my June 2023 film and TV reviews. I want to try and bring this segment back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I last did this type of video series, but I'm going to try and see if I can be consistent with it and at least have some kind of wrap up, because I want to start talking like more about movies and TV shows on my channel, hence like why I changed my channel name. And yeah, because I love talking about movies and TV shows, and I've really missed that in the months I've not been on YouTube. So we're gonna at least have a wrap up video each month, at least that's the plan. So I do have my notes on my phone, it's probably not there we go. So this is just the list of TV shows and then the movies that I watched. So starting off with the TV shows, at the very start of June I finished watching Shetland Series 7. So with this one I've caught up completely on Shetland. I started watching this in May and I kind of binged it in like 3 weeks, which, yeah. Even though, to be fair, they're only like, with the exception of series 1, each season is only 6 episodes, because it's like British dramas tend to only be about 6 episodes. So it was very quick and it was very binge, worthy. I went through it so quickly. I just loved everything about this show. I really did like how they handled the exit of Douglas Henshall's character, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of terrified of what was in store for him, but I really did like how they said, sort of finished his arc, and I'm actually really looking forward to see where they go with the show, because there is going to be a series 8. There's going to be a new person taking over as the DI, but I think I might just wait till all the episodes are out before I watch the new season, which probably won't be until much later this year. So, but yes, loved everything about Shetland. One thing I will note, and it's probably just me being a massive Primeval fan as well, but the last season had characters who were called Connor, Abby and Denny as well, and I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, I'm really easily amused, but I did notice that as the season went on, just how many of the characters were share the same name as the Primeval ones, which I think so yeah, I'm not sure if the writers were fans of the show, or they just decided to, because it was Douglas Henshall's last season, they just decided to write in the Primeval characters, because there was a moment earlier on in the show where he used the word anomaly as well, which if you've watched Primeval you will know about because it revolves around the anomalies linking to the past and the future, so I thought that was hilarious as well. But yes, I really loved Shetland. I was about to say Primeval, but no, it's I finished my rewatch of Primeval earlier in the year, so sort of why it's still on my brain a bit. But yeah, Shetland season 7, yeah, loved it, and yeah, so. Not gonna lie, got a little teary-eyed watching Douglas Henshall's last episode, but I did like how they wrapped it up. So that was the first show, and then the next show that I have been binging the hell out of is Death in Paradise. I can't believe I've never actually watched the show before, because it's exactly right up my alley, and I watched 9 seasons of this show in the month of June. I know, I mostly watched it because the first 2 seasons has Ben Miller, who's another one of, my favourite actors. Yes, he was also on Primeval as well. There's, as I said, there's a theme. So yes, yeah, as I said, he's only in it for the first 2 seasons, and then I kind of stayed for the rest, the characters, the story, and everything, and then proceeded to get attached to every single detective that's come onto the show since, because I didn't realise it was kind of a revolving door. I thought, oh yeah, the first one's Ben Miller, and then for obvious reasons with his character, he can't come back, even though there was a moment in series, spoiler for series 10, because I'm up to series 11 right now, which I'll talk about more in for this month's wrap up. But there was a moment, and that made me so happy. But yes, that's for series 10. But yeah, so you sort of had series 1 and 2 were playing, like Ben Miller was the DI, and then Chris Marshall was, I think, series 3. I think it was series 3 to 5, and then I can't think of the actor's name. It's like Adriel. He's an Irish actor. I just can't think, because he played Jack, and he was the DI for a couple of series. And then the current one is Rafe Little, I'm assuming that's how you, or Ralph Little. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he's the current one. And yes, I just love this show so much. It's got just the humour and just how well the characters all work together, and yeah, and then it's just obviously them figuring out, you know, the case of the week and things like that. And yeah, I absolutely love it, and it's set in such a beautiful location. The island itself is fictional, but it's like based on like a French Caribbean island. So, but yeah, it's yeah, I love this show. I'm definitely glad I finally like sat down and watched it. So that was where most of my June watching has been. It's being with Death in Paradise. And then I watched a show called By Any Means. I did briefly talk about this in my Where I've Been video, but this one I watched because of Andrew Lee Potts. He plays one of the characters in this show. It's only lasted 6 episodes, and it ended on a massive cliffhanger, which I'm still very upset about, even though this show aired like 10 years ago, and I don't think many people know about it. But yeah, basically this show is kind of they operate outside the law, but they bring criminals to justice, like people who may have been able to escape like convictions and things. They go about it their way. And they operate off the grid. If they get caught, it's their handler will disavow any like knowledge of them. So yeah, it was very fast paced. I really loved the characters, and yeah, I was really sad that I'm not going to find out what happens to the characters after the end of this. There's only 6 episodes, but I got very attached to them. So so yeah, so I watched By Any Means. Absolutely loved it. And then I watched another show with Douglas Henshaw called Collision. This one was quite interesting because it's only like it was like a mini series. It was 5 episodes, and it revolved around a series like collision. That involved all these different people, and at first it's like, was it just a random collision or was there more going on? And because Douglas Henshaw plays a DI in this one as well, and he's investigating all these different cases because he's recently come back from being involved in a collision himself. He was on the receiving end of a driver hit his car, he lost his wife, his daughter was paralyzed, so he's sort of dealing with that side of it as well, and is just trying to ease back into work. And yeah, it was very interesting, and yeah, and like the different stories that were playing out, I was very intrigued, and yeah, just wanted to watch and find out what happened. So that was another show I watched. And then the last TV show I watched in June was Sci-Fi's Alice. This is a mini-series, and it's become one of my favourite things ever. Again, this has Andrew Lee Potts in it. Yes, I know, I'm obsessed. Yes, I don't know why it took me so long to watch this, because I remember scenes, like, it was all over, like, everywhere back in the day. And for some reason I never checked it out. So this is like a sci-fi retelling, I guess, of Alice in Wonderland, and basically humans from Alice's world are kidnapped and brought to Wonderland, and they're drained of their emotions because emotions are in hot commodity in Wonderland. And she teams up with the Hatter, and it basically goes from there because she's trying to find her boyfriend who, it sort of starts like, she's bringing home her boyfriend to meet her mother, and she's had a failed string of relationships, and then he tries to give her a ring, and she sort of panics and thinks that it's moving way too quickly, and she later learns that he's got a much bigger connection to Wonderland than what she realizes, and there's all this stuff going on, and yeah, it was just amazing. And I do want to try and start getting into more in-depth reviews, so I may do a separate review for this one, sort of trying to figure out like what videos I want to do on my channel and stuff. So, but yes, I'll probably go do a more in-depth one because I just loved it so much and want to talk about it. So yeah, so Alice was the last TV show that I watched in June, and then on to the movies. I ended up watching 21 movies, which, considering the amount of TV shows I've been watching, is kind of impressive. So I'm just going to quickly go through the movies that I rewatched. So I did start a rewatch of the Transformers movies, and I watched Transformers in May, and then I watched Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, and The Last Night. And because I was going to do it and then go see the new one, which I still haven't seen yet, which I'm really mad about, but I kind of ran into some money issues in like end of the month, and I haven't quite been able to get to the cinema to sort of see some of the major releases that have come out. But yes, I was going to watch Bumblebee. None of the streaming services I'm subscribed to has Bumblebee, and my copy is packed away in a box. So, because I was streaming it, because that's what I've sort of been doing in between, like while I haven't had access to all my movies, I've been streaming stuff where I can, and like especially in like with regards to franchises, because I was like, oh yeah, most of the popular ones will be on streaming, and I got up to Bumblebee, and Bumblebee wasn't on the streaming services I have access to, and really annoyed at that. So at some point I will rewatch Bumblebee, because I've only seen it the one time, I think. But I did rewatch the Transformers movies, like other Transformers films. You know, they're a lot of fun. I will say, out of all of them, probably Age of Extinction is my least favourite. Yeah, but I did enjoy The Last Night, because I've only seen the last two a couple of times, but yeah, I really enjoy the first sort of three. Revenge of the Fallen's so it's not like one of, like it probably goes like Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Revenge of the Fallen, The Last Night, and then Extinction in terms of the main Transformers films. But yeah, that's just sort of where I'm like, just my general thoughts on the Transformers films. I really do enjoy them. I really want to see the new one, but yeah, haven't got to it yet. And then randomly I was on Binge, which is an Australian subscription service, and I noticed they had the 1983 Pirates of Penzance. I mean, yes, I own this one on DVD as well, but I was like, you know what, I'm in the mood for a musical. So I streamed it, and I loved it. Was fun revisiting, because it's been a few years since I've watched it, and one of these days I would like to sort of do a video on like the different copies of the Pirates of Penzance that I have, because if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know I love Gilbert and Sullivan operettas, and I've got quite a few different versions of them, so maybe one day. But yeah, I randomly rewatched the Pirates of Penzance from 1983. And then I continued on with my Mission Impossible rewatch, and I watched Mission Impossible 2 and Mission Impossible 3. I'm not a big fan of Mission Impossible 2. Which is a shame, because the cinematography in this one is really beautiful. It's because it uses, like, really takes full advantage of using Sydney as its backdrop, like, for the location. And yeah, it's just the storyline itself is kind of lackluster, unfortunately. Yeah, it's definitely my least favourite of the films. But on Mission Impossible 3 is a vast improvement. I do enjoy this one quite a bit, even though, like, I think I definitely prefer the later Mission Impossible films to the early ones, but it's fun to sort of revisit at least 1 and 3 every now and then. 2, I'll only revisit if it's like a full franchise rewatch. So that was those two. Then I watched House on Haunted. I rewatched House on Haunted Hill from 1959. I love this one. It's actually one of my favourite classic horror films. I suppose you'd call it classic because it came out 1959. It's just, I love films that are just set in the one location. It was creepy. It's, like creepy, tense, claustrophobic, and you're sort of wondering, is it actually haunted or what's going on? But yes, I really love this one a lot, and I'm glad I revisited this. And then the last film that I rewatched in June was La La Land. This one is definitely growing on me each time I watch it, because I think the first time I watched it, everyone was raving about how amazing this film was. And I think I went in with too much expectations, and when I saw it at the cinema, I didn't quite get that love. But now that I've sort of rewatched it a few more times, I definitely appreciated it more and more. And yeah, it's, I definitely like watching this one. It's sort of, I think it's just a different sort of style of musical. Like it's sort of got that homage to the classic Hollywood musicals, but at the same time, it's got its sort of modern take on it as well. So I rewatched La La Land. I just randomly felt like rewatching it. Which was kind of interesting, watching it in between watching, the House on Haunted Hill films as well. So, but anyway, moving on to the films that I watched for the first time in June. The two movies I managed to get to see at the cinema was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Absolutely loved this. I had so much fun watching this one, and I really want to watch Beyond the Spider-Verse, but I think that's been pushed back quite a bit now. I've heard it's like going to be a couple of years before it's actually gets released. So that was I wasn't sort of expecting that, but yeah, I definitely loved this film. I loved just it was such a bright and colourful film. I loved how they told like the different stories for the characters. Loved all the different versions of Spider-Man and the sort of the hints to it. I had a great time watching this movie. So, and then I did go and see The Flash, which I know has been a bit controversial, but it is what it is. Like with the film, and also everything with Ezra Miller aside, I try to go in and watch the film just as as part of the bigger DC one, which I suppose is a bit of a moot point now that it's sort of getting redone. I think that's what the plan is. I'm not too sure. I've heard different things about what's happening with the current DC slate, but I enjoy this movie. It's it was definitely an interesting take on the whole I guess Flashpoint thing, with Barry going back to save his to stop his mother from being killed, and then it sort of unleashes a whole chain of events. I have read the comic that the story is based on, so it was interesting sort of seeing that, and I did love seeing Michael Keaton's Batman being back in this role. Still really sad that we're not getting that Batgirl adaptation now, but that would have been interesting. But at least we got to see him on the big screen at least one more time. And then, of course, the ending with the surprise reveal, which I wasn't expecting. So, even though there's probably spoilers all over the place, I just must have managed to avoid seeing that. But, yes, I did really like that surprise ending right at the end there. But, it was decent. Not one of my absolute favourites, but I had a good time watching it. So, that was that one. And then two films I watched on streaming. I finally checked out Ticket to Paradise with Julia Roberts and George Clooney. This was it was decent. I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this one because I was just it was a cute rom-com. It was very predictable, you sort of knew where it was going, but I had fun with it. And yeah, it was just one of those easy, shut your brain off type films to watch. So that was Ticket to Paradise, and then I did check out The Reef Stalked, because this one I'd been curious to check out, but I'm trying to be good about not blind buying so many movies, and this one was on, these two films were on binge, so I checked out The Reef Stalked. I think I like this one better than the first one. I found I didn't, because this one was sort of interesting because I've rewatched I've seen the first Reef film quite a few times, but the more I rewatch it, the more the characters actually annoy me in that one. And this one I found I didn't actually hate the characters nearly as much, so I think I preferred The Reef Stalked over it, so I thought that was interesting. Maybe on a rewatch my opinion will change, but at that point I did quite like that one. And then from out of my own collection, I watched Xanadu, which took me a real while to get used to the film because it was a very weird movie. Even by my standards of weird. Like, I liked Olivia Newton-John in this. I thought, and especially, and also Gene Kelly is in this film as well. It's his last film that he filmed before his death. Yeah, it just took a lot to get used to. It was, yeah, very weird style of storytelling. I did end up liking it, but yeah, I was probably expecting a bit more from it, but it was definitely 80s cheese to the max, this musical, so, which I knew going in it was going to be weird, but I didn't think it would be that weird. So, and then I checked out a movie with the next two movies have Douglas Henshall in them. The first one is Silent Cry. This was fantastic. Yeah, I hadn't, like, a lot of these films I'd never even heard of before I started looking through his back catalogue, which is why I love going through different films that actors have been in, like their lesser known stuff. So this one was sort of, it's like a thriller. Like, there's a single mother, she goes to give birth to a baby, and then she's told her baby has died. She's devastated obviously at first, and then she begins to sort of start to think that maybe her baby is still alive and it's been, like, taken from her. And then she sort of runs into Douglas Henshall's character, who has a bit of a past, and he's trying to get on the straight and narrow, and he's like, I can't be involved with all of this right now. And they end up teaming up, and he helps her figure out what's going on, and yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. So, and then completely different genre. I watched a movie called The Salvation. He plays the sheriff in this one. It's a Western. It's definitely Mads Mikkelsen's film, because this one was definitely one that had a great cast. Like, you had like Mads Mikkelsen, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Eva Green, and obviously like Douglas Henshall. So yeah, so it was, I will say, he was trying very, very hard to do a southern accent, because it's like set in the, the western, like the southern states, like 1800s. He was trying very, very hard to do a southern accent, but his Scottish accent just kept coming through. So I did find that when I was watching it, just sort of hearing his accent and slip through. So so that was that one. Then I watched Joseph King of Dreams, because I got a DreamWorks pack with 4 movies in it, and I'd never seen King of Dreams before, which I'm really surprised about that I'd never actually watched, because yeah, it was actually a really good adaptation. I know the story. I love Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's one of my favourite musicals, and I was very intrigued to see how this one was go, because this one's a musical as well. But the songs aren't on Spotify, which, like, the soundtrack's not on Spotify, which I'm kind of surprised about, because once I finished the movie, I wanted to go and listen to the songs, and they're not on Spotify. So, but yes, I will say I got, again, rather invested in the story, and sort of seeing, like, this take on the story of Joseph, and sort of his rise to power from, like, his background. And yeah, and by the end of it, I was just like, why is this movie making me cry? Because the ending was sort of making me tear up, and I was like, I know the story, I know what's going to happen, and I was nearly sobbing at the end of it. So there we go. Joseph, King of Dreams. And then I watched another movie with Douglas Henshall called French Film. This one was interesting because this is like sort of is this a comedy set in the 90s, and because Douglas Henshall plays the best friend of the main character, who's played by Hugh Bonneville, I think that's how you say his name, and he's sort of going through a bit of a crisis with, the main character's going through a crisis with his marriage, and he's trying to sort of figure things out, and he's sort of it's leading up to an interview with this famous French film director. And the twist and turns this one takes is very interesting. I don't want to say too much because it's sort of, once you get to that realization and you go, oh shit, that's what's actually happened, it's quite the revelation. And yeah, and I will say Douglas Henshall's character is a bit of an arsehole in this film, which was quite a change from what I've actually like seen him in. Like, he's normally like, you know, the good guy, and watching him in this movie, it was like, oh, okay, he's not such a nice guy at all. So that was French Film. And then I watched, again, really randomly, I decided to start tackling the Sharp films because I bought the box set because the one that Douglas Henshall's in is like the 13th movie. I watched Sharp's Rifles, which is the first one. I quite liked it. I wasn't sure what to expect because I didn't really know anything about this. But yeah, it was sort of interesting because it's sort of like in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars. The British Army is struggling. Like, there's no, like, they're running out of money and they need to get you know, pay the soldiers' wages because otherwise they're gonna have mutinies on their hands. And then basically it gets to a point where, and then, because right at the start of the film, Sean Bean's character, which is Sharp, he saves the life of the, I don't think he's a duke at that point, but the Wellington, he saves his life, and he gets promoted to a lieutenant or lieutenant, I'm not sure which one he's promoted to, but basically it's at that point when only officers were from noble backgrounds, or they were from wealthy families. And so he's sort of navigating everything. Like, he's very much a fish out of water at this point because he's only been in the barracks. He didn't go to, like, officer school or anything like that. And everyone kind of looks down on him. And, like, from both sides, because the soldiers think he's a traitor to, like, them. And then it's like the officers think he's, like, just think he's like a nobody as well, like he didn't deserve the promotion. It was very interesting, like, as you've sort of had, like, you know, you've got the war, you've got, you know, this class rivalry, and yeah, it was quite an interesting film to watch. I'm definitely intrigued to see the other ones. So that was Sharp's Rifles. And then I watched another Douglas Henshall film, The Strange Case of Sherlock Holmes and Arthur Conan Doyle. So this one has another one of my favourite loves, and that's Sherlock Holmes. So this one is sort of taking place right after Arthur Conan Doyle kills off Sherlock Holmes at Reichenbach Falls. And he's sort of dealing with the hate that he receives from it, and he's sort of dealing with his own crisis with the character. And he's got a lot going on, like, in his personal life, and yeah, it's it was a very interesting take on the story. And yeah, I really like how they got to sort of because it's sort of like the main premise of the plot is a biographer comes in to interview Arthur Conan Doyle, but as it goes on, things are starting to be not quite what they seemed. And yeah, it's sort of his like Arthur Conan Doyle, he's kind of not trusting his own mind about what's going on. And yeah, it was I really enjoyed it. It's also got a very young Emily Blunt in this. I think this is like one of her first, it wasn't her first film, but it's like one of her earlier film roles. So That was that one. And then the last movie I watched was House on Haunted Hill, the remake. So this one was the one I hadn't seen before because I did buy Return to House on Haunted Hill and I hadn't seen this one. So this one was very interesting to watch because it was a decent film. I liked it a lot, but I felt it took a while to get to the haunted house part. Because, you know, you're watching a movie called, you know, House on Haunted Hill, you want the haunted, you just want the haunted house. You, like, anything else is sort of really unnecessary to the plot. And as much as I like seeing James Marsters in a very brief appearance, the roller coasters part just felt unnecessary and just seemed to drag for a bit. Like, I get what they were going for it, but I definitely preferred it once they were all at the house and everything was unfolding from there. Yes, it was one, you know, everything that happened at the house I really liked. I thought, yeah, it was very, very creepy, disturbing for some scenes. And also a certain moment with Jeffrey Combs that was like, oh, I get it now. And I don't think I was meant to find that as attractive as I did. So, but yes, I did, like, overall like the film. It just took a while for me to get into it. Like, because, as I said, the stuff at the start, I was just like, when are we getting to the main storyline? I don't care about the roller coaster. So, yeah, I did watch the remake of House on Haunted Hill. So, hopefully this month I can get to return to House on Haunted Hill. So, but anyway, that was everything I watched in June. And I've rambled for nearly half an hour, so but yes, I've watched a lot of TV and a lot of movies, but yeah, I was really happy with everything I watched. So I watched some fantastic first time viewing, so I do want to try and do more like top 5 films and stuff. So like to try and do a bit more variety on this channel rather than just update like DVD Blu-ray updates and like the monthly reviews, just to try and get a few different videos out there. But for the time being, I'm just going to stop it here. Thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!